Hey everyone, so this is a call, and what I want to teach you in this video is a sexual transmutation quickie. What I mean by quickie is you can generally do this fairly quickly. Somewhere between 10 to 20 minutes is about all it'll take, more or less. Now, before I get into kind of describing all the details, because there are some details to talk about in this video, because the practices are rooted in Kundalini Yoga as well as various Daoist practices. But before that, I want to draw your attention to some links down below the video. One of the links is for my Sovereign Tantric Sexual Energy Coaching Program. There's two versions of that. There's an in-person version if you're here in Chicago. There's also a version in which we can do it over Zoom. And then finally, there is a online version. Not online, but rather it's video-based. So you can go ahead and check that out. And also down below the video for completely free, you can download as a PDF, I believe, the formula is what it's called. And this is the formula that I used in order for an individual to build up the magnitude of orgasm. And also there are some essential understandings which are needed for, well, primarily it's for men in order for them to successfully engage in a tantric sexual experience. Anyway, you can go ahead and check out that information down below. Also, the one thing I'll say about the formula is it's not technique oriented. You're not going to see a lot of techniques. It's more about guidelines. So go ahead and download that for free. Should be very helpful. So now going into this practice. So the practice we're going to be doing today, it's challenging. Okay, it's challenging but extraordinary. It's very, very powerful practice. In essence, the idea of sexual transmutation is to shift the sexual energy out of the sexual organs and circulate it. In Daoism, for instance, they have something called the microcosmic orbit. There's something called the big draw, which systems like the body electric and Mantak Chia utilize. There's Mahabandha or the Great Lock. There's a lot of different ways in which we can shift out the sexual energy. The idea is that we don't necessarily want the sexual energy to be concentrated around the genitals all the time. Because if it is concentrated around the genitals all the time, let's say you have an edging practice and you're constantly stimulating that energy, well, it's going to be really difficult to have a clear head, right? And what do I mean by that? It means that you're going to get sidetracked a lot, right? You're going to be kind of in this state of constant arousal, which can be a little bit distracting and a little difficult to get work done and things like that. So, and it's even worse if you're looking at pornography. So you just got to keep that in mind. So the idea of the transmutation practice is by the end of this practice, it's not that the sexy feeling or the horny feeling simply goes away. It's that it's shifted, right? It's shifted in our body. And there's a lot of different ways we can do this shift. We will be using Kriya. That's S-A-T, then Kriya, K-R-I-Y-A, I believe is how it's spelled. But Kriya it's going to take some endurance. We're only going to do we're going to do about 3 minutes for this video, which is not a lot. I've done this practice up to 32 minutes before. Very difficult, very challenging. I suggest sticking with 3 minutes. And really, if you stick to 3 minutes, you'll get an idea of the effect. And once again, more is not better. So in this particular context, when we're talking about simply transmuting the energy, it has to do with when you really, really need to get out of that sexual fixation. You really need to shift this energy. And also, if your interests are to activate your higher centers, then this practice is also going to work quite well. So, a couple other things that are part of the practice I've put together for you, because I like to work in sort of a way in which I synthesize all the various systems that I've studied over the years. We're also going to include a Daoist practice called steaming, and also another Kundalini Yoga practice called breath of fire. I've done many videos of breath of fire involved. So those of you who frequently watch my videos, you probably will recognize the technique. So it's going to be really, really simple. So we got breath of fire, Kriya, and the steaming breath. So let me go ahead and walk you through the steaming breath verbally first, because it's not clear. This particular technique is not clear unless you understand it both verbally and in practice. So the steaming is done like this. So I want you to think about my thumb here as being the tip of your penis. Okay, So you get the tip of the penis, then this is kind of like the shaft, the base of the penis, and right here where my index finger and my thumb meet, we'll call that the perineum. Okay, so tip, shaft, testicles, perineum. I think you got the point, right? So what the steaming breath is, I should mention the vertical here. So the vertical, or this 90-degree turn that happens, is from the perineum upward inside the belly. So we're talking about inside the belly, directly above the perineum, but keep in mind it's about 2 fingers below the navel. Okay, so in that space, it's called the hara, the lower dantian, a lot of names for that area. You might feel a pulse. You might feel heat. You might feel a spin. All these things are manifestation of energy, right? They're all manifestations of the sort of various processes happening in our body. And what we're wanting to do is we're wanting to shift the sexual energy up into that space. This is the body's natural sort of storage area for energy. This is where we direct our will out into the world as it moves up towards the throat, which is the chakra of manifestation. So up and out is the idea. It's a bit like how thoughts go down and out, right? So a thought turns into words. Once again, the throat is sort of this conduit which allows action and communication to happen. So the other thing is once we shift up the energy, the steaming breath up inside the belly, we'll do the breath of fire, and then we'll go from there. So once again, to further describe this, so what you're going to be doing for the steaming is you're going to be inhaling and contracting at the same time. So contracting from the tip of the penis to the base of the penis, to the testicles, to the perineum. It's inhaling, contracting, contracting, pulling in, pulling in, pulling in, pulling in. Okay, so you're going to do this. Continue to inhale until your awareness reaches, and I said awareness, or your sense of feeling reaches your perineum. At the perineum, you will pause, because then you're going to do a 90-degree turn upward, and you're going to continue to contract and inhale, that 90-degree turn upward inside the belly. Once you reach inside the belly, 2 fingers below the navel, exactly above the perineum, you're going to exhale into that space. Once you exhale into that space, pause briefly. You want to pause in that space and feel and sense, okay? Then you simply return back down to the tip of the penis and you repeat. Once again, inhaling, contracting, contracting, inhaling, contracting. Awareness reaches the perineum, pause, shift your awareness upward, 90-degree turn, inhaling, contracting until you are inside the belly, 2 fingers below the navel. Exhale, pause, and feel and sense. I'll walk you through this during the practice itself, so hopefully that's generally clear. Let me go ahead and verbally describe breath of fire really quickly. So breath of fire, once again, is done from that space, 2 fingers below the navel. When I pull in my belt line, air goes out. When I relax my belt line, air comes in. So it's again, belt line goes in, air goes out. When you relax the belt line, air will come in. The reason I'm saying this like like you're not going to understand is because people do this in reverse all the time. So once again, you pull in the belt line and air will naturally come out. If you're pulling in your belt line and you're inhaling, it doesn't make sense, okay? Because you're creating a pressure here, so that pressure should drive the air outward. Inhaling while you're pulling in, that's a separate technique. Not altogether wrong thing to do, but the wrong thing to do if you're trying to do breath of fire. Okay, so that is the second technique. Now, the third technique, like I mentioned before, is called Sat Kriya. Sat Kriya is... we're going to interlace our hands. The index fingers will be touching. Thumbs will be crossed, okay? Then we're going to lock in the elbows at approximately the head. You can't really see. I'm cutting. The camera's got me cut off. Anyway, let me shift the camera up slightly. You can see the fingers are pointed upward above my head, okay? So now what we're going to do, once we're in that position, you want to keep the arms hugging the ears. You want your posture to be very, very upright. So you want the nice, tall, upright posture. And then what we're going to be doing is we'll be pulling in the belt line and saying the word sat. That's S-A-T. And then we're going to relax the belt line and say the word nam, N-A-M. So it's sat, nam, sat, nam, sat, nam, sat, nam. Repeat over and over and over again. Again, we're going to do that for about 3 minutes. What this does and what you might feel, because there's a couple minor details here, which I'll go into once we get into the practice, is a pressurization. We're going to feel this pressure in our body. You pull in here, you're going to feel pressure, potentially even tingling sensations all the way up your arms into those 2 fingers that are above the head, because that's what we're doing. We're pressurizing all the energy upward. In the meantime, also, your eyes are going to be closed and they'll be rolled up as if you're looking above the head where those 2 fingers are, okay? So, again, just keep in mind, energy flows to where the attention goes. That's why these techniques work. I think that's all the details I want to kind of cover about what these techniques are and how to do them. So we'll go ahead now and get into the practice. So for this practice, if you cannot sit on your heels, right? Like right now I'm sitting in rock pose. So I'm seated on my heels on the floor. You can also sit cross-legged, although it's much more difficult to keep an upright spine cross-legged unless you're in like full lotus. You can also sit in a chair. The important part here is that if you're sitting in a chair, you sit towards the edge, you place your feet flat on the floor. All right, so the important part again is to keep the spine straight and upright, okay? All right, so let's go ahead and we will get our position. So adjust your posture. So first thing you want to do is you want to tune into your pelvic floor. So pressing the perineum downward. You notice what happened with my spine? Let me show you again. I press my perineum downward. Yes. My body pulled forward. My spine pulled upright. Then you take a deep breath in. You draw your awareness to above your crown. So I'm tucking my chin, drawing my crown into alignment with the light. Another way to say that is your ears are over your collarbone. Okay, so ears over the collarbone. But you can see what happened there. I tucked my chin. Once again, the spine pulls upright. In this case, it's the spine from the base of the ribs upward. Right? Okay. So that is that. So now you have a nice upright aligned posture, hopefully. So we're going to go ahead and we'll get into breath of fire. I suggest for the time being, we place our hands in Gyan Mudra, thumb and index finger touching. Just relaxing them on your legs. Deep breath in. Exhale the air out. Inhale half breath. And we'll begin breath of fire. We're just going to do it for about a minute. Again, belt line goes in, air goes out. Just a little bit more, about 10-15 seconds. Let's take a full breath in. Now I'm going to have you smile inwardly down at your genitalia. So that's a way of connecting to the genitals. And begin to contract and relax while you're retaining the breath, the genitals. And when you're ready to exhale, go ahead and exhale, but continue to contract and relax the genitals. You want to conjure up the sexy feeling in a very subtle way. Doesn't have to be a strong stimulus. Again, contract and relax the genitals. All right, good. I'm going to assume you feel connected to your genitals at this point. So we're going to go ahead and begin the steaming breath. So I want you to go ahead, keeping your awareness at the tip of the penis now. All the air, go ahead and exhale it out. We're going to begin to slowly inhale and contract the tip of the penis to the base of the penis, all the way until your awareness reaches the perineum. Pause at the perineum, then move, and again, the perineum is the space between the anus and the genitals. Continue to inhale, moving your awareness up inside the belly, 2 fingers below the navel. Continue to contract and inhale. Exhale inside the belly. Pause, feel and sense. Return back down to the genitals. Once again, I'll walk you through another repetition here. Contract tip of the penis, base of the penis, inhaling at the same time. All the way to the testicles, all the way to the perineum. Pause at the perineum. Make a 90-degree turn with your awareness upward inside the belly. Continue to inhale, contract. Once the awareness is inside the belly, exhale. Pause, feeling and sensing inside the belly. Generally, you want to do this practice about 7 times, more or less. I've done it up to 20 or 30. So go ahead and we'll do this a couple more times. I'm going to leave about another minute here. So about a minute, once again, contracting, pulling the awareness up inside the belly. So hopefully you're getting your repetitions in here. Let's do one final contraction, and once again, inhaling, tip of the penis, base of the penis, testicles, all the way to the perineum. Contract and inhale, move it up inside the belly, exhale inside the belly. Feeling and sensing inside the belly, and this time we're just going to keep our awareness inside the belly. Okay, so awareness, sense of feeling inside the belly. Now what we're going to do is we're going to interlace the hands, index fingers together, thumbs crossed, elbows in. We're going to bring the arms up over the head. Good. Once again, nice tall spine. And we're going to be making the motion from the belly here. Once again, pulling in the belly is sat. Relaxing the belly is nam. So it's sat, nam, nam. Again. So you want to go ahead now, close the eyes, roll them upward like you're looking at those 2 fingers above your head. Let's take a deep breath in. Exhale the air out. Inhale half breath. And we will begin Sat Kriya for the next 3 minutes. Sat, nam, 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 sat, Nam 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 Sat, Nam. Good. So that was about 3 minutes. Keep the posture, keep the alignment, keep the eyes rolled up, looking at those fingers. Now what I'm going to have you do is I'm going to have you take a deep breath in. And I'm going to have you tighten up the entire body from your pelvic floor. So go ahead and pull root lock or mula bandha. So contract your pelvic floor. Contract the waist. All the way up the waist, the rib cage, the chest, all the way up. Even try to contract whatever muscles in your face. Tongue's at the roof of the mouth, eyes rolled up. Everything squeezed. You're squeezing all the energy up. Continue to squeeze. Go ahead and exhale the air out of your mouth like a cannon. Let's do another one of those. Inhale. And pelvic floor contracted. Belly, ribs. Everything's tight. Squeeze, squeeze, squeeze upward. Exhale at the mouth like a cannon. Inhale one more time. No contractions. Just hold the posture. And go ahead and exhale out the nose, relaxing the arms downward. Good. So that was Sat Kriya. My suggestion now is you meditate for at least 3 minutes, or you lie down for at least 3 minutes. You must do this. This is according to Yogi Bhajan. Whatever duration of time you do Sat Kriya, you also need to relax or meditate for the equivalent amount of time. So if you do Sat Kriya for 5 minutes, you want to meditate for 5 minutes. Okay, so hopefully that's pretty clear. So with all that said, thank you for watching.